The Pittsburgh Steelers are in deep trouble, and that's putting it mildly. Just when you thought the early season struggles couldn't get worse, the injury report hit like a sledgehammer. Mike Tomlin didn't mince words at his latest press conference. Alex Highsmith and Isaiah Loudermilk are officially out for this weekend's game in Foxborough. Both are dealing with high ankle sprains, which is never a good sign. And if you thought that was the end of it, think again. Deshaun Elliott, Derek Harmon, and Joey Porter Jr. were all slapped with that dreaded questionable at best label. And that's before even getting into Patrick Queen and Darius Slay, who are also nursing injuries. It's a walking infirmary out there. So yeah, that's the bad news. The worst news? There's no clear silver lining. You'd hope to pivot towards something positive, but it's tough to find a single encouraging headline when the backbone of your defense is falling apart at the seams. And even if everyone were healthy, the performance through the first 2 weeks of the season has been nothing short of alarming. Let's be real. This is a team that prided itself on having one of the most formidable defenses in the league, a unit that was supposed to carry them through tight matchups and into the postseason. Instead, we're looking at a defense that's given up over 30 points in back-to-back games, something that hasn't happened to the Steelers since 2002. It's not just the points allowed. It's the total yardage. It's the third down conversions. It's the missed tackles, the blown coverages, the total lack of identity. Against the Jets, they gave up 32 points and nearly 400 total yards. Then, against the Seahawks, another 31 points and yet again almost 400 yards allowed. That's not a coincidence. That's not a fluke. That's a pattern, and not the kind you want to be known for. If you're letting up almost 400 yards per game and 30-plus points every week, you're not just struggling, you're outright bad. Mike Tomlin is famous for using the phrase trending, and right now, this defense is trending straight toward the bottom of the league. And the most unsettling part? There's no consistent reason behind it. You can't pin it solely on the defensive line because the secondary is just as culpable. You can't put all on the safeties because the linebackers are missing assignments. Even guys like T.J. Watt and Cam Hayward, who are supposed to be the cornerstones, aren't escaping the heat. Though to be fair, much of what's happening with them isn't about underperformance but about avoidance. Opposing offenses are scheming around them. It's like in baseball when a manager intentionally walks a power hitter. You avoid the threat entirely. Every now and then, you'll see a flash. A single defensive series where the unit looks alive. Maybe they force a 3rd and long, or they create pressure off the edge. But then it all unravels. The Seahawks game was a perfect example. The defense gave up 18 plays of 10 or more yards. 4 of those went for more than 20. This wasn't death by 1,000 cuts. It was getting carved up drive after drive with no real resistance in sight. And what really drives the point home is the Steelers' current 3rd down conversion rate allowed. Opponents are moving the chains 46.4% of the time. That's the 9th worst in the entire league. And some of those conversions aren't even short yardage situations. We're talking 3rd and long, 4th and manageable, situations where a solid defense steps up and gets off the field. But not this group. Not right now. There's no one fix here. You can't point to one coach, one scheme, or one player and say, that's the problem. It's all interconnected. Terrell Austin's game plans are under the microscope, and they should be. Tomlin's decision-making, his use of personnel, the way he's dividing responsibilities, it's all up for debate. And look, no one is pretending injuries don't play a massive role here. You lose starters and key depth pieces, and of course, things start to spiral. But even with that context, the product on the field has been nowhere near acceptable. Some of the big-name additions, guys like Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay, haven't exactly lived up to their billing so far. Ramsey's been hit or miss. He made a few splash plays, but also given up big gains. Slay's had similar issues. And now, you've got a defense full of players trying to gel on the fly, battling both execution issues and communication breakdowns. It's messy, it's chaotic, and worst of all, it's predictable. When Tomlin was asked what needs to change, his answer was as vague as it gets. We've got to be better. We got to strategize better. We got to play better. That's not a plan. That's a bumper sticker. And while he did acknowledge that some of the challenges stem from the team's mounting injuries, the reality is simple. This coaching staff is getting outmaneuvered and out-prepared every single week. That's not a talent issue. That's a culture and preparation issue. The Patriots may not be world beaters this season, but Bill Belichick is still Bill Belichick. And if the Steelers come into Foxborough with this kind of dysfunction, they're going to get embarrassed. If it were up to me, I'd walk into the facility and hit a giant red button labeled Reset. Not panic, not rebuild, just reset. Strip things down to the fundamentals. Go back to square one. Start with tackling. Start with angles. Start with defensive pursuit. Make sure every single player knows where they're supposed to be and when. Make sure they understand how to shed a block, how to wrap up a ball carrier, how to communicate across the back end. This isn't about outsmarting the opponent anymore. This isn't about trickery or exotic blitzes. Right now, the Steelers need to figure out how to be functional. The next 3 practices are critical. There's still a walkthrough on Saturday. That gives them time, not a lot, but enough to install some basic principles and reinforce the core of what defense is supposed to be. Forget schematics. Forget the idea of dialing up something clever. Just figure out which players actually want to hit somebody. Who wants to clog a gap? Who's willing to chase the ball for 4 quarters? Because right now, there are too many guys out there who look like they're going through the motions. That has to stop. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be dominant. But if you can win those small battles, if you can force 3rd and 7s instead of 3rd and 1s, if you can keep the offense in front of you and tackle in space, you at least give yourself a chance. You can start plugging holes instead of getting overwhelmed by a flood. You can begin the process of becoming a defense that competes instead of one that collapses. You know what the most frustrating part of all this might be? It's that the Steelers do have talent. This isn't some bottom-of-the-barrel roster scraping by with practice squad fill-ins and undrafted free agents starting in key roles. They have legitimate names. Veterans, young studs, players who were brought in with the expectation of raising the floor, not sinking the ship. But none of it seems to be translating. And that disconnect between talent and execution is where things start to get dangerous. Because when a team underperforms this badly despite having the pieces in place, you start to question everything: effort, preparation, coaching, culture, even leadership inside the locker room. And yes, at some point, you've got to look at the captains. TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, Minkah Fitzpatrick, they've been here long enough. They've seen both the highs and the lows. They know what it takes to get through a rough stretch, and it's time for them to make their presence felt. Not just with sound bites in front of the media, but with the way they command the field. Because let's face it, this defense needs direction. It needs accountability. It needs a spark. And if it's not going to come from the sideline, it has to come from the guys wearing the helmets. The idea of stripping it all down and starting from fundamentals isn't about punishment. It's about clarity. Somewhere along the way, this defense lost its identity. They don't look confident. They don't look connected. And more than anything, they don't look like they trust each other. You can see it in the hesitation before the snap. You can see it in the busted coverages. And you can definitely see it in the moments when guys are out of position and pointing fingers after the play. That's not just a schematic issue. That's a cultural one. And the only way to rebuild that is to reset the expectations at every level of the defense. What made the Steelers' defense great in the past wasn't just the talent. It was the chemistry, the instincts, the accountability. You had guys who didn't just know their role. They knew everyone else's role, too. That's how you get a defense that functions like a machine, not a scattered group of individual parts. That's how a coach like Dick LeBeau was able to disguise blitzes, confuse young quarterbacks, and create pressure without needing to bring the house every time. Because the unit was in sync. Everyone was on the same page. Everyone moved as one. Right now, this defense looks like 12 guys, each reading a different script. And yes, some of that comes with time. You don't build elite chemistry overnight, especially not when you've introduced new faces and lost key veterans. But time isn't a luxury in the NFL. You don't get to ask for patience when you're giving up 30 points per week. This team doesn't need to be perfect, but it has to be cohesive. It has to at least look like it knows what it's trying to accomplish. Right now, it doesn't. Right now, it's just survival mode. And even that's not going well. Look at the tackling. It's basic stuff. Get to the ball. Take a clean angle. Wrap up. Drive your legs. And yet, week after week, We're watching players dive at ankles, miss open field chances, or worse, stand around while someone else gets dragged for extra yardage. That's effort. That's technique. That's coaching. That's all of it. And you can't scheme your way out of it. You have to want to make the stop. You have to take pride in shutting down a run play or forcing a 3-and-out. And until this team finds that edge again, nothing else matters. You also can't ignore how soft this team looks up the middle. Whether it's against the run or the pass, opponents are finding success attacking the core of the Steelers' defense. It's not all on the nose tackles or the inside linebackers. It's a collective breakdown in leverage and discipline. The middle of the field is wide open, and quarterbacks are feasting. The Steelers used to make that area a no-go zone. Receivers paid a price for coming across the middle. Not anymore. Now it's a free pass. And when you're consistently giving up easy yards in the middle, it opens everything else. Play action becomes more dangerous. Screens become more effective. Running backs get room to operate. And it wears your defense down fast. That's why stripping things down to the basics is the only real option right now. You can't fake physicality. You can't fake fundamentals. If you can't win the inside game, you're going to lose every other one too. Even special teams are starting to reflect the same lack of discipline. And yeah, that side of the ball doesn't usually make headlines unless something goes really wrong. But that's kind of the point. A well-coached team has clean, sharp special teams units. Right now, the Steelers are struggling there too. Missed assignments on coverage. Little to no threat on returns. Mental mistakes. It's not just a defensive issue. It's bleeding into all phases. So now you have a team that's 0-2, riddled with injuries, disjointed on defense, shaky on special teams, and searching for an identity. That's not an ideal place to be heading into Foxborough. And while the Patriots aren't what they used to be, they don't have to be. They just need to be competent, disciplined, and opportunistic. Because right now, that's enough to beat the Steelers. That's what makes this next stretch so critical. Because if things don't turn around quickly, this season could spiral in a way that's hard to come back from. You want a spark? It starts with the basics. It starts with pride. And it starts with every player in that locker room asking themselves a simple question. Am I doing my job? Am I contributing to the solution? Or am I just out there taking up space? Because if the answer is the latter, someone else needs to be on the field. The NFL doesn't wait. The schedule doesn't pause. And if the Steelers don't find a way to get their house in order fast, they're going to be on the outside looking in by the time October rolls around. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers have turned into a full-blown roar in Pittsburgh this week, as the Steelers appear to be assembling what could be the most explosive offensive arsenal the franchise has seen in decades. Sources close to the team suggest that Pittsburgh has quietly orchestrated a jaw-dropping package that could shake the very foundations of the AFC. Tyreek Hill, Terry McLaurin, and Brandon Cooks all potentially joining forces under the black and gold banner. If this materializes, the Steelers would instantly transform into a nightmare matchup for any defense. Hill's unmatched speed and ability to stretch the field, McLaurin's technical route running and knack for clutch plays, and Cook's versatility and consistency in the passing game would give Pittsburgh three elite weapons, each with a unique threat that opposing coordinators would struggle to contain. Rumors hint that this isn't just a splashy move for fan excitement. It's a calculated gamble with one clear goal, a Super Bowl run. Inside sources indicate that the team's front office has been working behind the scenes to align the financials and draft capital required to make this blockbuster conceivable. While nothing has been officially confirmed, the mere chatter has sent shockwaves across NFL circles, sparking speculation that the Steelers are entering a win-now mode, willing to make bold decisions to recapture the glory days of Lombardi-era dominance. Fans are buzzing on social media, with hashtags like #SteelersSuperBowl trending and discussions dissecting how the offense could look with these three weapons. Imagine quarterback playbook possibilities. Hill's vertical threat opening lanes underneath for McLaurin and Cooks, misdirection routes, jet sweeps, and deep shots that could keep any defense guessing. Analysts are already debating if this would be the most fearsome receiving trio in the modern NFL, and whether the Steelers could realistically balance salary cap implications with the dream of lifting Lombardi Trophy number 7. Of course, skepticism remains. Some insiders caution that the complexity of signing 3 elite receivers simultaneously could create chemistry challenges or limit flexibility elsewhere on the roster. Yet, in Pittsburgh, hope has always been fueled by daring moves and audacious gambles. If even part of this rumored mega deal comes to fruition, it would signal a franchise unafraid to chase a championship with full force, daring rivals to keep up. One thing is certain. The Steelers' rumor mill has never been this electric, and fans are holding their breath, imagining a future where 3 of the league's fastest, craftiest, and most reliable receivers line up together, ready to redefine Pittsburgh's offensive identity. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.